I see a great fortress, whose glory and splendor will reach to the stars. Here ye shall build a castle, and call its name Praha. Zlata Praha it shall become, Prague the Golden, that is my prophecy. For I am Libussa, the prophetess. Legend has it that I am the mother of Prague. I saw the city in all her beauty long before she was built. Would you like to accompany me on a brief journey through time? In the beginning was the river, the Vltava. Of course, everything began with her. Here my city of Prague was born 1,000 years ago. To be honest, she was only a little castle at first, a backwater of history, until in the 14th century there came a ruler who made her the center of Europe. Charles IV, King of Bohemia and Holy Roman Emperor, a visionary who planned everything in style. With him, Prague's golden age began. He summoned the best architects. Prague Castle, Hradčany, became his residence, the hub of the Holy Roman Empire. 3 courtyards, the cathedral, the royal palace, 40,000 square meters of power, an imposing labyrinth to which each succeeding century made its additions. St. Vitus Cathedral, the consummate union of the power of church and state, and we owe it to Charles IV. For me, the cathedral is a holy place, the place where our kings were crowned. The stones seem to defy gravity. The gallery above the choir ambulatory. Charles IV, the emperor, found an emperor among architects to carry out his work. When he was summoned to Prague, Peter Pala was just 23 years old. A genius, he was to take the Gothic idiom and develop it. This room of the cathedral is a reliquary in itself, St. Wenceslas Chapel. Peter Pala dedicated it to our patron saint, Good King Wenceslas, the first Christian to occupy the throne of Bohemia. The saint was murdered by his brother, one of many victims in the history of my city. This is Neruda Street, which leads from the Hradčany down to Charles Bridge, with its Renaissance and Baroque facades, a jewel of urban architecture. The signs are a reminder of the unbureaucratic days before house numbers were introduced. The broken spoke. The swan. With the stories they tell, they're much more appropriate to these houses than mere numbers. Casanova danced, and Mozart feasted here amidst the Prague nobility as they held their glittering balls and banquets. Every city has a place which mirrors its soul more than any other. For me, in Prague, this is Charles Bridge, the embodiment of Baroque sensibility, a stone avenue of saints, real and imaginary. Each one is a legend. St. John of Nepomuk, the king of Bohemia, had him thrown into the Vltava from here because he refused to betray the secrets of the Queen's confessional. He's been the patron saint of bridges ever since, and well beyond the bounds of the Czech lands. Prague has specialized in getting rid of nuisances in such ways, by throwing them off bridges, or more famously out of windows, or simply just strangling them. Other images of Charles IV, as a young ruler and in his old age. From the tower which guards the bridge, he looks out on Prague with its population, in his day, of Czechs, Germans, and Jews. 3 peoples, 3 languages, 3 souls. A magic mixture, often fruitful, often frightful. We need look no further than religion. Jan Hus, a fundamentalist, a leading player in the drama for religious and national renewal, an unbending preacher who delivered inflammatory diatribes against the moral decay of the clergy and the holy alliance between church and crown. For all those whose privileges depended on the system, a dangerous fellow. So it was that in spite of being given a safe conduct, he was summarily arrested and burnt as a heretic by the Council of Constance in 1415. The result was that the movement for reform became a revolution, but the underlying conflicts remained. Yet it was more than 200 years before the second act of the drama took place. The place, Hradčany, the year, 1618, the 23rd of May. I remember it as if it were yesterday. From this window, 2 hated arch-Catholic imperial emissaries were thrown, to land more or less softly on a convenient dunghill. There it was then, the second and more fateful defenestration of Prague, a trivial incident in itself, but it sparked off the 30 Years' War. It turned Central Europe into one great battlefield. My country was in the middle of it, and lost her freedom to the Catholic Habsburg emperors in Vienna. The period following the 30 Years' War is known to the rest of Europe as the Age of the Baroque, but we Czechs call it Doba temna, the Age of Darkness. True, the churches are magnificent, but they represent the harmony of the Habsburgs, the victors. Of course, there are exceptions, and Strahov Monastery is perhaps the finest, for here wisdom has built herself a house. Since its founding in the 12th century, Strahov has been home to a library without parallel in the world. Half a million volumes, a priceless store of manuscripts, incunabula, and ancient maps. The monastery's oldest and most precious possession is the manuscript of the Strahov Gospels. It's a long story how this codex found its way to Prague. And I'll show you another form of wisdom. In the old Jewish cemetery, the wisdom of the word became the wisdom of the stones. They tell the story of the Jews of my city, a story of sadness and death, of persecution and expulsion, a story as old as Prague itself. How many graves are here? No one knows. 150,000 perhaps. Many are dilapidated. They look as if they have sprung from the ground. There was little space in the ghetto, so fresh earth was continually being heaped upon the old graves to make room for new ones. Graves upon graves. The ancient Jewish cemetery. This is Prague too, like the palaces, the churches, and the bridges, like the stories of artists and warriors, rulers and saints, those who destroyed the city and those who rebuilt her. A magic mixture indeed.